Have you been diagnosed with fatty liver disease and are you feeling a little panicky about it? I thought I'd make a video talking about my experience with fatty liver disease because I think that it might make you feel better and it might be helpful. So, I'm a rare disease patient. My liver has a very heavy disease burden because not only spoiler, did I have fatty liver, I also had a liver that was completely covered in tumors, rare tumors. And um, the irony of that is that my liver kind of didn't care. I had symptoms primarily from the tumors, and I did have swelling in my liver, but all of my labs were completely normal. I never had elevated liver enzymes. So, livers are a very kind of individual thing. Some of us have more or less resilient livers. And I don't know that medicine has a way to tell who does better or worse, which is why we care about the fact that we have fatty liver, because we are not promised a good experience or a good outcome. So, of course, we want to optimize, right? But I don't think you need to panic. So, I have someone in my family who I have obesity, okay, and I will talk more about that in a second. I have obesity, I have rare disease, I have all sorts of metabolic endocrine things, okay, like I am not like coming into liver disease in a good situation, right? But then there are people in my network, in my family, who are not overweight, who are very physically active, and they have fatty liver and they have abnormal labs, like their blood work is bad too. See, now my liver never threw a bad lab value. Not once. Not once. Not even when the tumors were actively trying to unalive me. My liver literally did not care. My liver is a honey badger. And that is not uncommon. It is not uncommon to have very resilient livers. So livers can take some damage and they just keep on livering away in your body. So you don't need to panic about a fatty liver diagnosis. What you want to do is just take very, very good care of yourself. You want to optimize and you want to see if that improves your fatty liver. Now, I want to talk a little bit about like what happens if your fatty liver doesn't improve, because that's something I have some experience with. So, I have lost weight and gained weight my whole life. I clearly have some kind of obesogenic disease process. And because I'm a rare disease patient, I know a little bit more about my genetics and my body than a lot of people do. So, back before I knew I had rare disease, back before I had all the information I have now, I reflected society, which is it's my fault, it's all personal responsibility. I'm eating too much. Everything I eat that's not exactly what I'm supposed to be eating is why I'm fat. I internalized all of this fat shaming that we see in our society. When my liver tumor started causing problems, though, I couldn't eat. I actually was under 1,000 calories a day for months and months and months and months. And I had a very difficult recovery from surgery because they only removed my largest tumor, which left another tumor to start hemorrhaging. And they decided not to remove that one. So I had an actively hemorrhaging tumor that my liver was very unhappy about. My body did not like that for about 8 months. And then I had total 18 months of very limited eating, very disrupted eating. And I did not lose more than 10 pounds. And that was the point when the light bulb went on for me and I realized, oh, I don't think it's me that's the problem. I think there's something truly wrong with my metabolism. I had lost weight in the past, like I said, and I never resolved my fatty liver. It didn't matter what I did. The fatty liver was like a permanent feature that I couldn't seem to resolve. Now, granted, maybe I wasn't maintaining the weight loss long enough. I've never really been able to maintain weight loss by myself. So I'm going through this surgery. I'm going through all these liver tumors. And I know that I have fatty liver and I'm not losing weight and I'm not losing weight and I'm not losing. And it's like I'm under 1,000 calories a day for very long periods of time. I was starving. Okay. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I can't lose weight. I need to lose weight because I really need to help my liver. Because not only do I have the fatty liver, I have all this other stuff. And I'm like, how do I do this? How do I show up for myself? Because I can't get the weight to move. And I'm talking perfect ketosis. perfect plant-based. Like I tried every diet under the sun and I was very motivated. So I was very, very strict and I could not like get anything to work. And I'm like, that's weird because I've done keto essentially with an endocrinologist in the past, like decades ago, and it worked very well for me. And I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Like, why isn't anything working? So that was the point where I was like, I'm going to ask for Ozempic, a GLP-1 medication, because I just don't know what else to do. And I was always afraid of these medications because of the pancreatitis, like all the stuff you hear about them, the pancreatitis, the cancer, the this, the that. But honestly, given my age and the risk that not losing weight posed to my ongoing health, I'm like, no, I have to do this. I can't afford to not find a solution here. And if there's going to be some long-term cancer risk from these medications, well, at my age, I'm going to outlive the risk. Or I'm sorry, the risk will outlive me. Like I'm going to be gone to glory from old age before any of these side effects catch up to me, given my age, because I'm getting older. So I'm like, well, screw it. I'm going to try it. So I tried GLP-1s. Now, was it an overnight success story? No. I have some theories on that, but I lost weight very, very slowly. And I had to have annual MRIs, sometimes more than annual MRIs, because I really kind of grow tumors everywhere. So I get a lot of MRI imaging. And so we're doing the imaging and nothing's improving, nothing's improving, nothing's improving, nothing's improving, nothing's improving. And I'm like, oh my God, like my liver's like incurable, right? Because I thought, if I controlled my weight, if I controlled the insulin more so than my weight even, like if I controlled the insulin resistance, that would help my liver. And like initially, no, not so much. And I did lose weight, but very, very slowly. So year 2 or year 1, year 2, now we're in year 3. Now year 3 is when they said they can't find any fat in my liver anymore. Year 3 is when the fatty liver finally resolved. Now I have a theory about this. I think that my liver did not show any overt signs of distress, right? It just continued to function and limp along despite everything that was happening to it. God bless my liver. But I think that it was very clogged and it was very, what's the word I'm looking for? It was very held back. Like it was very constrained. It could only do so much. And I think part of why my weight loss may have been so slow, and of course this is just theory, okay? I'm just a patient, I'm not a scientist here. But I think it resolved so slowly because my liver was just slowly unclogging itself. It was just slowly getting rid of all this fat. It was slowly healing. And it was very, very, very slow. And I had even had problems like if I exercised, I couldn't lose weight. Like I would go on diets with people. We would all eat the exact same shit. They would lose weight and I would not. So for the first time in my life now, like for decades, I'm suddenly noticing like if I exercise, I might lose a pound now. Like I didn't have that before. Now, the caveat being, I do have some early stage cancer in one spot with some tumors, and then I have some other things that we're trying to figure out if they're cancer and what kind of cancer they are. So I don't know, maybe I'm losing weight because of cancer. So, caveat, okay? But it is interesting. So my theory is just like foie gras, right? Like they force feed the fat to make the liver nice and juicy to make the foie gras. I think my liver was just clogged and it just took a very, very long time to get the fat out. So if you have fatty liver, don't panic because it does not necessarily mean that your liver is going to go kaput tomorrow, but you do need to take care of your liver and bolster your own inherent resilience, right? And also be aware that this could take years to unwind. Your liver did not get sick overnight. It's going to take a long time to fix it. So you have to be very consistent. You have to commit to being consistent in how you eat and how you exercise and showing up for your liver every day for years, the same way that your liver has shown up for you. And the other thing is, if you're overweight, consider a GLP-1, but also consider whole genome genetic testing. Do the consumer testing. You're not going to get referred to a geneticist unless you have like some kind of other rare disease process. Oh, the dogs are going to bark. Sorry. But you want to know if you have any of the obesogenic metabolic mutations that, like, for example, I have. Here's the problem. like as a rare disease patient, I need what medicine is going to be in 100 years. And the medicine we have is way behind the science. We have so much more knowledge, know-how, and science than actually gets distributed and deployed through the medical system today. So because I have rare disease, though, I've accessed some things that I think are going to just be SOP in the future. In the future, you are going to have whole genome testing, and you're going to know exactly whether or not your body properly metabolizes sugar or lipids, or if it's doing something hinky. I happen to know that my body does some hinky stuff metabolically, and I have an endocrine tumor with a mutation, with a genetic mutation, is also obesogenic. So I have 2 obesogenic genetic mutations. Well, and really 3 if you count the liver tumors, because I have the genetic mutation for those as well. And then number 4, I have PCOS, which is a common condition. And then 5, I have taken a lot of prednisone for asthma in my life. I've been on prednisone almost full time for 15 years before modern asthma inhalers made that obsolete. So I've done a lot of damage to the way my body metabolizes sugar, and I have inherent genetic metabolic issues with sugar and lipids, both. And all of that stuff kind of runs through the liver. So it makes sense that I had a very intractable case, a very difficult to resolve case of fatty liver. But the irony again is my liver didn't care. It was honey badgering away in there. It never had an abnormal lab value, not once. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But if you want to know if you are metabolically compromised, like if your system's not 100% on carbs or fats or proteins, you can go and do whole genome testing. You're going to be kind of on your own in the weeds in interpreting it. That's a problem. Like when I go to the obesity medicine clinic now, they literally ask me about trauma. They want to know if I've been assaulted. They want to know if I've been abused. They don't actually want to know about my genetic mutations. They don't understand the metabolic, or they don't care to understand the metabolic implications of my tumors. I ask them and they're like, oh yeah, we don't do anything with that. And I'm sitting there going, well, how are you going to get the prior authorization for Mounjaro or Ozempic through to the insurance company if you don't talk about the fact that my system at the foundation is compromised and doesn't function correctly? Because that's never going to change. I'm not going to maintain the weight loss. I've never maintained weight loss in my life unless I can maintain access to these medications. And resolving the tumors means that I don't have to worry about having a liver transplant down the road, which is, a lot cheaper to avoid that than it is to expose me to the risk of it. Like I could risk eventual organ failure if we let these tumors just go unchecked. But obesity medicine does not have a model that cares about that stuff, but they want to know if I've ever been assaulted. And I'm like, whatever trauma I've been through in my life is nothing compared to having tumors essentially take over an entire organ and medicine be totally dysfunctional about it and malfunction whenever it comes to caring for them. Like the trauma that I get from the medical system is over and above anything I could get from some random stranger on the street, because there is a weird passive aggressive ethos in medicine, sociopathic ethos in medicine. Like you could cure me, but you're never going to think correctly about what's happening with me in order to do so. So, be aware that me sitting here telling you about these genetic mutations and understanding some of the metabolism and the biochemistry of how my body is or isn't working, that's cutting edge. Medicine's not there yet. Medicine's just not there yet. The dietitians aren't there yet. You still see dietitians like bitch about one diet over another. Oh, keto's bad. Plant-based, who cares? Like you see all sorts of opinions. The reality is we all have our own genetic phenotypes when it comes to our metabolism, and we could know them now. We could start cataloging them now so that we could optimize our lifestyle and our diets. Some countries do this. China has some degree of genetic analysis along these lines. I think some other countries do, but the United States does not, and is not incorporated into mainstream medicine at all. So you kind of have to DIY it. So if you're like me and you lose weight and your fatty liver doesn't resolve, I would absolutely do whole genome testing. If you've listened this far, that's what I would do. I would find out if your system is having problems. And I would also consider a GLP-1 if you're overweight and you have fatty liver. You don't need to panic. You just need to take care of yourself. You just need to love your liver back. Okay, your liver is in there working hard for you and taking care of you every day, no matter how heavy of a disease burden it carries. And now it's your turn to show up and try to help your liver lift the load. And if you can cure your liver, great. If you can't, do it on your own, GLP-1s, and then genetic testing as well. Okay, so I hope that helps. Don't panic, just take care of yourself, okay? And be proactive. Be proactive, and don't be afraid to do things that are a little more avant-garde. Medicine moves so slow that if you wait for them to order genome testing, you're going to be 150 years old. So don't wait. Just kind of be proactive and work ahead on your own if you need to. All right? Good luck.